What? All right, here we go. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
So with the trinomial, the last number you have to multiply to get that number, and the middle has to add up.
Yeah, as long as the first number is a 1.
Okay. So this is number 1.
If the first one is not a 1, you have to multiply that by the last 2 first, and then everything you just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice try.
Now, I'm not picking on anybody because I saw a lot of people do this, and I see this all the time. But for some reason, people do the right first step or not. Sometimes I'll see people try to just go right to this. But if it's not a form, it's not. It's 2 terms. It's not a trinomial, so it's not a trial and error surefire. It's not a squares or cubes. It's 15 ain't neither of those things. So it's nothing at the moment, right? So you might think it's prime then, but no. It's the only thing that you do, the first thing you're supposed to do. It's GCF. So that's why you always do that first, because either it's the only thing you can do, or it makes it easier to do whatever it is. So what comes out of both?
5.
More than that, 15.
X minus 2.
Minus 2.
Yeah, x minus 2.
How come
I
it's
think
not
that should be the bonus.
5?
This should be the one where you're like, please, Jeff, make them all like this.
That's why I should be.
No, you have very different opinions about this. Yes?
How come it's not 5?
For which, if you did take a 5 out,
5x.
if you took a 5x, what would be left with?
3x.
3x minus 6.
What still comes out of both of these?
2.
3.
3.
So if I take a 3 out also, it would be the same as taking a 15 out. So it's sort of like reducing a fraction, but you didn't go all the way, so you got to do another step.
Okay.
So this is completely legal, but then you say, oh, I got to take another 3 out, so now there's 15 out there. Take a 3 out of each. You're in the same place. Who cares? As long as you realize there's still something in here that can come out. So you don't have to factor all the way to the answer on the first step. You might have to go further, and you could have maybe done it in one step, but who cares? Just take out more if you see it. And that's it, right? This is definitely nothing you can do with that. So you are done. Okay.
Can you do number 10?
Yes, I will. After 2 through 8, 9. So 2.
Well, it's just you go through all.
Yeah.
So, same thing here, right? What do you always try first? GCF. So what comes out? A. Now this, if you think it's this, you're wrong, because you'll get a middle term, right? In fact, why does difference of squares work? Because there's a minus, which allows them to be different signs. If there's a plus in the squares, you can't do it. It's prime. And just to be completely open, as prime as far as we know. I could use non-real numbers to do it, but we're not going to talk about that so much. As far as we know, sum of squares is prime. I can't do it. Unless there's a GCF maybe, but there ain't. We took the A out, we're done. Is that cool? Okay. 3. So, I mean, I attacked you in the first several of these are the first form of factoring we did, GCF. Just to make sure you do that first. The most trouble you get yourselves in is if you try to force it to do something it's not in the right form to do. So it's 2 terms. This one looks like it might be square as hell. The 36 is a square. But the m and the n, I can't break those in half. So the only thing it could be, it isn't. But again, I should have tried GCF first anyway. I shouldn't even have had that problem. What comes out of all 2 of them? Yeah, 9 and 1 m and 1 n. So here I'm left with 4. I took both his m and n. Minus mn. Good. I took his 9 and took 1 each of his mn's. This dude, ain't nothing I can do with him. That's done. Cool. And now I went to the next type. And what type is this? Right? There's 4 terms. So not surefire.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. So I group them. What comes out of these 2?
X squared.
The x squared, I got
I'm looking at the
squared.
wrong problem. I'm looking at 5. I'm like, T.
I got you. I'm with you.
Minus.
Yeah, x minus 5.
Minus 25.
Good, I love it. Even if you don't know that 25 goes into this, you know you want a single positive x here that tells you exactly what to try to take out of here. And if it doesn't work, then screw it. Minus 25,
X minus
x, good. 125 divided by negative 25 is negative 5. And you're on the right track.
5. X squared minus 25. X minus 5.
And anytime you think you're done, just take a second and look at each. I can't do a damn thing with that. But I certainly can do something with this.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh,
That's what?
x plus 5, x minus
That's squares. 2 terms. Inside there is 2 terms. Squares, right? So you have to go further or else you're going to lose points.
Plus 5.
Because you're an evil math teacher who does not give you an A just because you're breathing. This dude comes for the ride. Don't forget that poor little x minus 5 dude. He's still there in the end. All I'm doing right now is breaking him up into 2 parts. So how do you break him up?
X minus 5.
Yeah, x and 5, plus minus. Cool. So that's fine to leave it like that. You can
Or
put
you
those
could-
together, make it x minus 5 squared, but, you know.
Now, if you didn't have 2 squares, you would just leave it at that last step. That was
Yeah,
as
if it was
far
just
as-
x squared minus
If
14,
that
then
was
you'd
as far
stop.
as you could go, then you...
Exactly.
All right.
But because there's a piece of this that could go further, you must go further.
But that wouldn't, if you took that further, you wouldn't just cancel out 2 of them and then you'd just be X minus
They
5?
can only cancel if they were opposite operations. What's the only operation between these 3 things? Multiplication. Nothing can cancel. One of them would have to be on the bottom to cancel.
Oh, it would have
You would
to be
think-
on the outside of the parentheses.
No, it would have to be on the bottom to cancel.
What do you mean the bottom?
Yeah.
divided by.
I mean, it'd have to, yeah, divided by.
Oh.
Then I could cancel it.
But you're,
This is straight up multiplication.
where do we cancel that? When we have,
You're not, are you thinking about this if it was, like that? Are you thinking about this here?
maybe.
And then you take 1x minus 5 out?
Yeah.
Alright. See how that's
because
plus?
there's the in between. Okay.
Yeah. So there was a distribution step there. That's just undistributing. There's no distribution going on here. It's all multiplication. Is this number times this number times this number undone?
Okay.
Because none of those individual things can go further inside, yeah. That's that times that would never cancel each other out. And this is not really canceling anything. It's just taking that 1x minus 5 back from both of them, right? Math gave this one thing to both of them. I'm just taking that one thing back out. Cool. Where are you? Oh, yeah, this one. All right. I think we can all agree on number 5, you can take a T out. Is that cool?
Yes.
That's what I saw most of you guys doing, which kicks ass.
No, I took 2 T's. Oh, shit.
Well, that doesn't kick ass.
There's only one.
The 21 only has 1 T, so you got to make sure every single one of it can afford what you're trying to take out. Right, so it's sort of like the nice tax man. At least he takes everything you got, but at least they don't take more than you got. Like what normally happens. So what can you do on the inside here?
T's grouping, because there's...
Good, and this T is just going to come for the ride. Right? You can never lose the poor little dude, because then I would never be able to go back up all the way. This is going to get a little weird at one point, so I want to group. I saw somebody switch these, which is fine. And we've seen that example where if you move the middle 2, it sometimes will work both ways. This is one where it will work, but it will work like this too. What comes out of these two?
T.
T, and you're left with,
T squared.
good, one less T there, plus took his T. What comes out of these two? And you know it has to be, to make it positive, you got to take out a negative 3. So both the signs change. What are you left with here? Took a negative 3 out, you're left with T squared plus 7. And thank God I got that because I know I'm on the right track.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I think never mind, I wrote it wrong.
And see, I think I just naturally, I write it so I can see exactly where something came from. And I think a lot of you guys kind of lose track of where something came from, and it's really easy then to lose it or to put something in the wrong place. That T came out from the beginning. This came from this. this came from this, I can always kind of see where things came from. Does that make any sense? I mean, a lot of the trouble a lot of people have in mathematics is just the question of organization. I am not neat in any sense of the word. I have horrible handwriting, but I at least line things up, and I can always see where something came from. What's the last step here on the inside? That t is still coming for the ride.
T minus 3.
Good, the t minus 3 I see there.
But where do you see the t minus 3 that you cancel out?
Don't cancel any out.
Not cancel out, but if you cover with your hands.
Yeah, so I can take a t squared plus 7 out, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm left with a t minus 3.
Okay.
They just wanted to write it in the other order. That's fine. Then you know you're done because that's the only thing that might go further, but it's a sum and 7's not even a square anyway. So I can't do anything with that last piece. I'm done. So number 6, somebody got that one?
X squared.
X plus 6 and x plus
I mean,
1.
x
11.
plus 6.
X plus 6, X plus 1. The funny thing is, whenever that number is 1 off from that, it's almost always going to be that guy and 1. Right? And that's the one everybody always forgets about, is the easy way to factor something is 1 and that thing. Okay. All right, has everybody got what they want here? All right, so. Oh, yeah. So all you guys getting yourself in trouble by not doing what I suggested you do. Trust me, I mean, that'll keep you straight. So, little dude,
4 minus 3.
big dude, because it's a cube, right? I'm just assuming everybody knows that it's a cube. 2 terms, no GCF, but everything can be cut into 3 parts. And the third power kind of gives that away. You gotta be real careful though. The later problem has a third power, but it's not a cube, because the first thing you do is take an x out. So there'll be a square left. It's squares. So if there's a GCF, you don't know what it is yet until you're done with the GCF. Then you can see what it really is. No GCF, I know it's a cubes. What goes in the little dude?
4 minus 3W.
Yeah, 1, 4 minus 1, 3W. So those 2 4s go here. Those 2 3Ws go here.
And then
This is always a plus. There's always only one negative in the whole thing. It's either there or there.
So that's plus 2.
Yep, so that's going to have to be plus. And we know that because it's got to be the opposite side. And then what's got to go here?
12W.
Good, 4 times 3W. So do not make more of that than it is. That's not that much. And even if you kind of forget about where each piece came from, this part's easy. 1 of each, 2 of each makes 3 of each. Okay, that's cool. That's cubes, right? The weirdest part of this whole thing is that guy. And I'm hoping to kind of remember why it's got to be there. That's cleanup dude. Clean up all the crap you don't want.
I took out the -1.
Sure, you could do that. If you took a -1 out, you would end up with this. Oh, not that. This. And this is the same, should be, just with the 9W squared first. Yeah. So if you don't like your variable being last, you can take a -1 out and turn this around. Is that required? Hell no. Cubes is just so recipe-ish. It doesn't really matter what's first, to tell you honestly. It's just such a recipe to follow. Then I gave you a little nice one here again.
So it's 5.
Yeah, you got XX for x squared. 5 and 3 to make 15. It makes -2 if 5 is negative. Bigger do negative to make the outcome negative. Cool. What do you always try first?
Which is 5.
So what comes out?
5.
5. It's not a 1 there. So you do 4 times 1 is 4. Factors of 4 to make -5. -4, -1. Whenever the middle dude is 1 off from what you're looking at, it's almost always that guy and 1. In this case, -4, -1 to make it -5. You guys with me?
Yep.
So GCF helped me out a bit because otherwise I had 100 add up to be 25. It's not hard, it's 5 and 20, but I'd much rather work with smaller numbers. It reduces the number of things it could be. Maybe. So then I get 5 times 4x squared. Using these things now, minus 4x minus x plus 1. You guys see that? Is that cool? Just using the negative 4 and the negative 1 to break that middle term up. And now I can do what? Group, because now I have 4 terms. You good? Terry?
Yeah, I'm good. Keep going.
What comes out of these two?
4x.
4x.
X minus 1.
X minus 1, I love it. So you want to make him positive x, so what do you have to take out?
Minus.
Negative 1. So the x was negative, it's now positive. The 1 was positive, it's now negative.
Can you go back over that real quick? Just, I was still right. This is the 4x squared minus 4x. You take the 4 out.
Yep,
Got that.
so
there's
4 and an x.
an x.
All right. There's just 1x left there,
Yep.
minus
Minus what?
Minus x. Or
1.
1.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know why I'm getting myself confused.
4
These
minus
two,
5.
the two terms are not. Like, where'd you get the x minus 1?
In the first group.
From here.
The first group.
This freaking bug is like attacking me. Okay. Okay, because you have 1x left, and then the 1. Oh,
4x divided by 4x is
Okay, okay,
1.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Well, one time I get somebody to tell me this,
Yeah.
but then how could you multiply and get that back? This is a placeholder, then you can look at it. It holds this guy's place.
Okay.
Okay.
Or even better, it's just 4x divided by 4x is 1. Here, it's a negative x currently. In order for me to do the next step, it's got to be the same as this guy. And that's exactly what tells me to take out a negative 1.
What tells you to take out a negative 1?
What do I need here to go further? I need the same thing as he's got.
Yes.
What do I have currently? Minus x.
Yeah.
I need to have a positive x. So I got to
Oh,
take
so
a
you
negative
guys
1
have
out.
negative 1 out. Okay.
And that's just going to change both these signs, thank God, because then it's the same as that. And that's what makes it legal to do the next step. So then I get 5 for the ride.
4x.
4x minus
All right, 4x minus 1,
1.
And
x minus 1, or the other way around, I don't care. Right. Cool.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you did 4x minus 1, where is the 1 coming from? The last step.
Here?
Oh,
Yeah, I took a negative 1 out.
okay.
Yeah, I instead of just taking a negative out, I took a negative 1 out just to really make me see where that, or actually it's this one, where that comes from. I can see the 4x minus 1 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Number 10. Make it through. There. So this one should be pretty obvious what form it's in. No GCF.
Cubed.
It's got to be cubes. T cubed. T. 27. 333. Little dude, big dude. And count. So T minus 3. Other 2 T's there. Other 2 3's there.
And 3t.
Middle term's got to be plus
3t.
3T. That's it.
Why is the
Where do you get the? I know for the middle term it's 3 times, but it's a negative 3 times.
The sign is the opposite sign, and then you multiply these things together.
Okay,
Or multiply these things together and then change the sign, however you want to say it.
Alright.
The middle term's got to have a different sign than this first guy, so it could be the cancellation dude.
Okay. So on this one you have a positive 9. I get that it's because it's negative 3 times negative 3.
No, well, yeah, sure.
So why on number 7 when it was negative 3w times negative 3w times negative 3w was it not a positive 27 in the end?
What do you mean? I don't understand.
27 negative.
Because you used up the first 3 W's.
Well, there's still a plus there. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, again,
It always has.
if this guy is the same sign as this guy, you with me? If this guy is the same sign as that guy, he's got to be a freaking plus. If I make him a minus, negative 3 times negative 9 is not negative 27. That's one way to look at it.
That's always going to be a plus no matter what.
Always.
Even if that 4 negative, that 4 and 3W was a plus there.
Another one being.
Of course, because then that would be a minus,
Okay, right.
right?
As long as that last one's always a
So
plus.
if
we're
this
good.
is a plus here, the only differences would be that would be a plus, that would be a minus.
Okay.
And you don't want this to be a minus now, because then positive 3 times negative 9 wouldn't be the positive 27 anymore. The last one's got to be plus. Okay. All right. Let's see. I mean, I don't know if that would help you guys.
They don't tell us.
Huh?
They don't tell us.
I know. I won't. All right. This guy would throw a lot of people off, and it did. You definitely can do what first? Take an x squared, and you're left with x6,
Minus x, 8x5,
5.
plus 16.
That is not half of that. You're done. Are we talking about this? The first step here would be x cubed, x cubed. But then there's no way to make x5 in the middle. You with me? So we've talked about it the last time. If I have an x6, there's got to be an x cubed here. If it was a minus 8x cubed, maybe I could try to go further.
In any set of oh wait, no, what? In any
Or
of the ones with the
trinomial.
threes?
Trinomial.
Yeah, it always is
The
made
middle
half.
power has to be half the first power. If you think about it, it only makes sense. The only way to have the middle term, you know when you FOIL, you're going to get 4 things, remember? When you FOIL, you get FOIL. Normally the OI are like terms. The only way they're going to be like terms is if I break this up in half so they each get an x cubed, x cubed. Kind of with me?
You can't take an 8 out of each of them once you take the x squared out.
Does this guy have an 8? Again, it's got to come out of all the things in there. Yeah. And that won't help me with my problem with the powers, right? Because my first step here would be x cubed, but then my middle term should be x cubed, shouldn't it? Well, what is it? Shit, so I can't do it. Done. That's why the middle guy has to be half the first guy's power, because we cut the first guy's power in half to do it. It's got to be that way. Now, I'm not saying there's some more advanced form of factoring that might come up with a way to do this, but all the ways that we know require that this to be half of that. So I always want to try to give you the full...
And a trinomial.
Yeah. For the ways that we know to try to do this, that has to be half of that. The more advanced ways require freakier things, and we don't know those freakier things. Yeah.
So if it's half of it, we have to continue.
Then we could possibly continue. So if it was that, I could finish that out. Because what multiplies to 16 has to be 8?
4.
4. So it would be x cubed minus 4, x cubed minus 4. Right? I could do that. See, the middle term would now be negative 8x cubed. But they got fifth power. Nope, can't do it. That's why I was telling somebody, that's probably the hardest one on there to realize. You just got to stop right there. Number 12. What form is number 12 in?
Squares.
Squares. Any GCF? No. So you just attack it.
7x minus 9.
And 7x minus 9,
7x plus 9.
that's plus 9. So very, very soon I could tell some of you guys that will be a thank God problem. They give you squares, you should just go, oh, thank God. Half, half, plus, minus, done. Or again, thank whatever leaving. You do whatever you do. 8x cubed. Try to be all inclusive. Now, the mistake a lot of people made was they looked at this like it was a cube and they tried to attack it. 15 ain't something cubed. I only got one x there. I can't break him up. So again, what saves your ass, you shouldn't even have to go down that road. What do you always try first? GCF. And I think I've been saying every one of these that says, is there GCF? No. Is there GCF? No. Is there GCF? Always try GCF first. What comes out? 2x.
2x.
At 4x too.
And now what's that? Squares. So by doing a GCF, I uncovered what it really is. It really is a squares. I couldn't see that. It was buried under the 2x. Once I got out of the way, I can see what it is. How do I factor this dude?
2x minus
2x, yeah.
2x plus.
Exactly. Cut in half, minus plus. Almost too easy to believe it. Right?
So you cut in half.
4x squared is 2x. 25 is 5. Minus plus. Done.
And that's those any numbers, if they're squares like that.
They have to be squares.
If they're squares, you cut them in half.
Cut them in half,
First
you're done.
one in half and plus minus.
Plus minus. Oh wow. It's the first day I've actually used all of our time.
Earned patience.
All in that one day. Alright guys. So next time we'll get into what the hell do we learn factoring for now that we've sort of learned it.
Oh boy.
Let's see real quick. I remember 11. I didn't really understand what you're saying, but why I didn't really stop at this.
Because the next step would require us to put
I tried to do the surefire at this